the Game Master. World builder, storyteller, feared and adored by players worldwide. Their skills at storytelling and weaving the fate of their players is legendary and must be a gift from on high. Or is it? Hey there, fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard, and in today's episode, I'm going to attempt to explain all the roles of the Game Master as easy as we can so everyone can become one on their own. Yes, even you. Now, anyone who's been around the tabletop role-playing game world for any length of time has heard a lot of different synonyms for this same phrase. Game Master, Dungeon Master, Storyteller. Those are the main three that I can think of off the top of my head. But there's a lot of different words for the same role in a game, and I chose to go with Game Master for my series because the simple fact that it is a very system agnostic term. Dungeon Master clearly denotes Dungeons and Dragons, while Game Master can be kind of used for any system out there, and I'd want everyone to feel that this is for them no matter what system they play in. So Game Master, or at times I might say the word GM, that is what we're talking about today. A quick disclaimer before we jump into it, I am sharing with you my opinion on the role of the Game Master in a game. They are not hard and fast rules on what it entails, but by the very nature of tabletop role-playing games going back to the very beginning, rules are merely a guideline. So keep that in mind moving forward. You will constantly hear conflicting opinions on different topics, and that is just the nature of tabletop role-playing games. So now this video, my goal is to share some information with the people who have never played or had any tabletop role-playing game experience, but they might be in a position that they want to try playing a game or running a game for themselves. So if you are a new GM, this is how I understand the role of the Game Master, and I hope to help you figure it out as well. As the Game Master, you have several tasks that are in your charge to help your players have a good time. And number one is that fact exactly, help your players have fun. Fun is the main point of the game. It is not an exercise, it's just to have fun. So keep that in mind with everything we're going to talk about forever on the whole future of this channel. If it doesn't help your players have fun, it's not important. I think that is probably the best advice I can give you. Number one is you are the world builder. You're building the world around your players. You're filling in the towns. You're creating landscapes, territories, and part of doing that is being descriptive. Every time your players go from one location to another, you'll want to describe to them what they see so they can make the best choices moving forward for their characters. This includes if you're in a tavern, telling them the height of the stools, how many people are in the tavern with them, what the bartender looks like, what type of ale they're serving, all these different details that can help the players make choices. It helps to be as descriptive as possible in these situations. I'm going to be doing a whole other video on being descriptive and building your world with your words, but for now, just know that is your job. Another part of this world building is filling in the environment with NPCs, or non-player characters. These are the characters that you as the Game Master control and your players can interact with. They can be allies, they can be villains, they can be neutral parties who just want to make a day's work. Oftentimes players will want to go to a blacksmith and you have to play the blacksmith character and describe them and fill out a personality for them. Don't get too overwhelmed by all this because it's easy enough to say they're the blacksmith, this is what they do. You can start simple. It's okay. Villains and allies become a little more complicated because they're there to help the players, so they want to be a little more fleshed out, and the players want to be able to interact with them even more, especially the villains. The players are going to be trying to kill these people or make a truce or something. I don't know what your players are going to have in mind, but just know the villains are kind of important, and it's your job as the Game Master to become that villain for your players. A common synonym for Game Master is Storyteller, and that is the next task you have to accomplish, is to tell a story with your players. I don't mean tell a story at your players. You don't get to tell your players what is happening all the time, but you build the story, you give them little plot hooks and things that they want to chase after that build the story with them. That way your heroes are in control or feel in control of the story as you just fill in the gaps around them. You can set your players in certain locations that will drive the story forward, but ultimately it's the players' choices what they do, and it's your job as the Game Master to help guide them into the story and through the plot that you hope that they accomplish. Part of building a story and helping your players feel accomplished is challenging them. Now, challenges can come in all different types. You have enemies, you have puzzles, you have traps, you have more puzzles. A lot of these different things can help challenge your players and make them feel accomplished once they actually do something. For the people who play video games, how fun is it really if you play a game on super easy mode and you just walk through all the levels? It's not that great. But when you actually have a challenge or a harder difficulty setting, when you finish that game, you feel a bigger sense of accomplishment than if you did it on super easy. Yeah, it's harder. Yeah, it might be frustrating at times, but at the end, that sense of accomplishment is the important thing, and you as the Game Master are here to challenge your players and help them feel that sense of accomplishment once they complete a task or a fight or finish a puzzle or anything that you give them. And the last thing on my list of the do's of the Game Master is to make your players stand out in the world. This means your players are not the average person in your game. They are not the farmer that is just trying to get by day to day. They are not the king who is trying to lead a kingdom but has so much on their plate that they can't do anything and it ruins their family life. They are the heroes. They're the ones trying to chase down the villains and save the village and fight the cultists off and destroy the demon that threatens to destroy the whole world. That's your players, and it's your job as the Game Master to make them feel that they are the center of the story. This is kind of an important thing, because if the players are playing and they just feel like they're just another non-player character in your world and there are stronger, better heroes out there, better suited for the job, it's kind of disheartening for the players. They begin to, wonder why they're even doing this. Even at level 1, it's okay if they're weak, but they should still be better or stronger than the average tavern owner. Keep that in mind, building your world around your players, that is kind of their goal. They are the heroes of the story that you are building as a group, and if you don't let them be the heroes, then what's the point? And I lied, and that wasn't the last thing that a Game Master has to do. The actual last thing that a Game Master has to do in any game is moderate the rules for the given system. So if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you need to know at least the basic rules so you can moderate them with your players. The same goes for Pathfinder or Starfinder or Rifts or the Star Wars RPG. Any game system, they all have rules. You as the Game Master need to know these rules enough to help your players understand them and moderate them. The rules are in the game to help everything be balanced and to help the game be a smooth activity with some randomness and some sense of risk all the time. But if you don't know the rules and you just say yeah and everything happens automatically without the rules coming into play, the challenge isn't there. So this actually ties in with everything else of challenging your players and help them feel stronger. Use the rules, understand the rules, know the rules. That is your job. Your players should also understand the rules, but it's not as important if they do as it is if you do. Next up are the don'ts of the Game Master. These are things that I want you to try not to do as you begin your journey to be a Game Master. And they're simple things that help the players have fun, they help you have fun, and it kind of keeps the game running better for everyone. First off, do not try to destroy the players. Sometimes people get into the mindset that the game of tabletop role-playing games, any game that you play, is between the players and the Dungeon Master. It's like a versus competition where the Dungeon Master is trying to kill the players and the players are trying to kill the Dungeon Master and they all trying to fight against each other. Don't do that. Just don't. It's petty. It's silly. If you agree with your players that that's how the game is gonna be, cool. But if you're just trying to have fun, if your players just want to tell a cool story with you, don't be out there trying to break them down and destroy their players. Challenge them, yes, but don't be out for blood. You are the Game Master. You can change the rules how you want. You can say, oh, you get attacked by 4 dragons at one time. Good luck, players. But is that fair? Does that challenge them, or is it just you flexing a muscle? Think about that when you're making these kind of big decisions for your game. Are you challenging the players, or are you just showing them who's the boss? If your answer is I'm showing them who's the boss, take a break, think about it a little bit. You don't want to be showing people who the boss is all the time. The next thing that a Game Master should not do is tell the players how to play their characters, and this goes in multiple facets of the game, in combat and in the personality and role-playing aspect of it. The Game Master should kind of let the players just do their thing, because the players built their characters. They are their baby, so to speak. They've designed this character and that's theirs. They know how they want to play it. So if someone that comes from the outside and says, oh, you need to do this, or oh, that's not what your character would do based on their personality, it's kind of frustrating and it doesn't make you want to play as a player. So leave the players to their devices in the game. Oftentimes, if you have a session 0, which I did a video about and you can watch it It will be linked somewhere here or at the end of this video. If you do the session 0, you can preemptively fix any problems that may come up because you and the player will be on the same page. But if you're not on the same page, it's still not very nice and disheartening when the Dungeon Master decides to tell a player how to play their character. And this is equally as important in the character personality. Are they a loner? Are they the hot-headed, cocky one? It doesn't matter what it is. It's not your choice as the Game Master to tell the players how to do it. Next on my list of don'ts for the Game Master is don't be the star. The game is about the players, not about you being a Game Master. Let the players be the stars of the game, and this can go in a lot of different ways. If you steal the show and get really deep into descriptions and building this world that you distract from the point of the game and you sidetrack into this whole other world that the players aren't involved in, that's you taking control and trying to be the star. If you create a GMPC, as people call it, or a Game Master player character, someone who goes with the party and is following them around. If you do that and the players want you to do that, don't make that character so overpowered or so cool that they steal the show every time. Take a back seat. It's okay when you're the GM to not be the leader of the player party. That's fine. You are running the rest of the world. Let the players make their decisions, and if they really want some help, if they want an ally that follows them around, be a follower. It's okay. Just let them take the lead and you do whatever they want you to do. If they ask for help, that's fine, but you don't need to steal the spotlight. Next on my don't do as a GM, and this is probably the last one, is don't compare yourself to other Game Masters. This is more for your mental health and your players, and this goes equally for players also. Don't compare yourself as a player or your GM as a GM to other players and GMs. In the current environment of role-playing games, there are a lot of Game Masters who are very much in the spotlight. You have the biggest one is Matt Mercer, you have Matt Colville, you have Sly Flourish, you have Chris Perkins and Mike Merles. You have all these people who have kind of put themselves in the spotlight as Game Masters. Don't compare your game mastering style to their game mastering style. It won't help you do it. And I'm pretty sure most of them will be also the first one to tell you don't compare yourselves to them. You don't have to play the game the same way that they play the game. It's fine. The game is all inclusive. If you go and set a standard and say all game masters have to get up and walk around the table and do voices and hunch over and do this and that, you're setting a standard that not everyone can reach. And you shouldn't set a standard for yourself. You shouldn't set a standard for your players. The whole point is you're trying to play the game, you're trying to learn it, and you're growing as a group. And you, as a game master, if you're watching this, maybe you're not new, maybe you are. And it doesn't matter how long you've been playing the game, you can always improve and you can get better, but comparing yourself to these people in an unhealthy way will not help you improve. It will just be disheartening and probably make you want to stop playing. Side note on that, it's okay to watch these guys and take notes, but don't look at them and say, oh, I could never do that, I must be a bad GM. It's when you throw in the line, I must be a bad GM, based on someone else's GMing style, that's where you kind of draw the line and you shouldn't go there. But if you just watch someone try to take notes and learn what they're doing, cool, do it. That's great. That's learning, that's progress. But once you say, I must be a bad GM, or I can't do this, I'm a bad GM, that's a negative attitude that you want to avoid as a game master. And the players, you want to avoid that for your game master as well. So please, please, please don't compare yourself to the other game masters who are in the public eye or anyone else that you've played with, unless it's just for learning experiences. Now that I've gone through all the do's and don'ts, you might be thinking, that doesn't sound as much fun as playing the game. The players have more freedom. The game master has all this other rules and tasks they have to do. And yes, that's the case. But it also goes down to the simple fact that fun for the game master and fun for the players come from two different sources of fun. For the players, depending on the players, they might have fun killing monsters or zombies or, solving puzzles or mysteries or things like that. For the game master, the fun needs to come from a different place, and that is more world building, help, and seeing your players tell these stories, seeing your players succeed is awesome. It's a really cool feeling when the players roll the die and they make the perfect roll and they're able to succeed at their task. The fun comes from watching and building the story and building the world around your players, not so much crawling through the dungeon and killing the monsters. If you want to be a game master and you try it and you just don't have fun, that's fine. You don't have to have fun as a game master. People don't like being game masters. It is a chore sometimes. But if you don't have fun, you can always just go be a player. That's okay. But don't expect the fun as a game master to be the same as the fun as the player. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to have the same exact fun that I did when I'm a player when I'm as a game master, because you'll be disappointed. Just understand the fun comes from different sources, and if you look for it, you'll have a good time. And I probably said fun probably like 50 times in this video. Anyways, I hope this video kind of opens your eyes to what a game master's job is. If you're new to the world of tabletop role-playing games, I really hope this helps you open your eyes and see what's out there for you and what you as a game master can accomplish with simple basic knowledge. If you like the content of this video or the other videos, please hit the subscribe button and like the video. When you hit the subscribe, also hit the bell next to it to make sure you're, get the notifications or something. I think that's how it works. And I hope to see you next time when I come back with more tips for the beginner game master. Thanks for watching.